Dr. Tackett, Dr. McCraney, and Mr. Whitfield came to Dupree in the spring and just kind of asked us, what did you all do? She talked with the core leadership team and said, what did you all do? She said, because we can see some great things at Dupree School. And at that moment, I knew we had done some things, but I never thought about kind of putting it on paper so that we can reflect back and think about, hey, what did we do to see a drastic improvement within diversity in our school? So we took some time and we thought about it. And as I was thinking about it, I thought about some critical junctions that we faced at Dupree School. And one of the biggest eye-openers was just our discipline data. We had huge referral rates. And we did not reflect. I didn't reflect as a principal. My teachers didn't reflect. It was always what the children had done. And we felt a sense of hopelessness. So when I reached out to Dr. Warren, I was trying to reach out to Dr. Warren before she reached out to me, because you always want to be the first one when it comes to Dr. Warren. So that's when I started my journey with Dr. Hines. She said that she had a person that could really help us. And so I have worked with Dr. Hines, and I didn't realize how many years, but it's actually been 3 years. And since we've been working with Dr. Hines, we have seen such a great change in our discipline rate. I've seen a change in my teachers. I've seen a change in myself. And that was because I, as the administrator, took ownership of what Dr. Hines was bringing to us, and then I held the teachers accountable to that. And so with that, we've just made such great strides. Along with the leadership team, and then we're bringing on the teacher leaders, so that's going to even empower us even more to reach our goal of reduce referrals and improve student achievement. And I'm just going to introduce our team. I have Miss Turner. She is the new assistant principal at Dupree. She's also on the leadership team. This is Miss Freeman. She was the media specialist at Dupree, but now she is the assistant principal in Little Rock School District at Baseline Academy. So she popped in to assist us with this. So let's give her a round of applause, because they're both serving in new positions. And over here, I have my teacher leaders. Aren't they beautiful? And Mrs. Phillips and Mrs. Brown. So thank you all for being our teacher leaders. We're going to go on and get started. Yes.
I need everybody to focus on learning. This is a testimony. When they implemented change, and I don't care what I tell you, I don't care what Matt Hines tell you, if you don't go back to your school, come back to that. It's a school thing. It is a school thing that starts with the building principal. Because building principal, you gotta be able to say, my numbers suck. You gotta acknowledge that. And you got to acknowledge that as the building principal, you are responsible for that. That's what they did. That's I left them crying. They crying when I left. And I didn't do anything to put their numbers up. I showed them what they look like on paper. I'm sitting, I'm looking, I showed them. Okay? So look here, third grade, let's look at fourth grade, let's look at fifth grade, then we're gonna break down every third grade teacher. Let's see what we're doing in every one of these classes. But I need you to focus on what they did. Because until you take ownership at your building, that part of the problem is you. Because you're allowing it to happen. We're accepting it. When you do nothing, you're part of the problem. I need you to hear them. You don't hear anything else today. You need to hear what they say. And one of the reasons, at the end of the year, we compared their discipline data. Wow. Great strides, everybody. Then, that summer, we get their benchmark, whatever it was, result. Their assessment, state assessment result. Kids' scores had shot up. That's knew it before I got here. Discipline impacts student achievement. So if you really want true student achievement for the kids at your school, you'll hear their story, because they have a story to tell. So I need everybody to look at them.
They're gonna start.
Cell phones need to be put away right now, unless you're taking notes. Your iPad needs to be put up right now, unless you're taking notes on what they're saying. But you need to hear them.
Thank you, Dr. Warren. Like she said, this is just our story. It's just what we did at Dupree over the last 3 years. It's really kind of our journey to what led us where we are today. The title of our presentation is Shaping Dupree for Black Student Success. And it's just kind of how you'll see how the shapes kind of play in to where we were in the middle, and kind of where we came to the end. And like I said, this is our journey of diversity awareness.
All right. Well, after speaking to Dr. Warren, we realized, well, at the beginning of our journey, we were doing the same thing. And at one point, after we spoke to Dr. Warren, we realized if we're doing the same thing, the same way, we're gonna get the same results. At first, we were in denial. And then after Dr. Warren spoke to us, we were in turmoil because we couldn't figure out what was going on. We didn't feel like we were doing anything wrong. And then we looked at our referral rate, and that's exactly what Dr. Warren said. We looked at our referral rate, and it was over 200 for 1 year. And we thought, as a staff, what should we do?
What's she saying?
What's missed?
And we called this our circle of frustration.
Yes, it was definitely.
We were just in denial. We were frustrated. We had this large referral rate. And we knew, I love this picture Ms. Turner picked, we knew that spring 2000 quarterly report was coming. We knew it was coming, Dr. Walker knew it was coming, and then it came. And then Dr. Warren and her team showed up at our school to discuss that third quarter report.
And when that reality set in, we were at a round table, our leadership team, and we all looked mortified like this picture.
And Dr. Warren kept saying, the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. We would say, well, what about the numbers don't lie? Well, we're open space. The numbers don't lie.
Yeah. The numbers don't lie.
So at that point, we started to look to figure out, okay, there's a problem. We're aware there's a problem. We kind of knew it even though we were in denial. Now it's in our face. The numbers don't lie. So let's figure out what we can do. So we began to look for answers, and we brainstormed, and we talked about all the interventions we had done. We made this beautiful sheet of paper with all the bullets of everything we had done to make this better. We looked at our data. We looked at our demographics. We looked at our facilities. Our facilities needed help. I mean, that's the problem, right? We're open space. It's kind of dirty. It needs to be updated.
We don't have enough people. We need another assistant.
We need a full-time.
Part-time. We looked at everybody else but ourselves.
Everything.
We talked about the students and the parents. But we did not look at ourselves and what we needed to do to change our impact on student learning.
And it's at that time, and you'll notice we had our circle of frustration. Now we decided, okay, we need to triangulate here. It's time to refocus, to collaborate with each other, and to reform ourselves. And so that's when we really stopped and began to look at ourselves and quit, playing the blame game. We had a problem, we needed to fix it, and pointing fingers was not going to fix it. And if we didn't stop and do something, we knew when that fourth quarter came around, or when the first quarter of the next year came around, we were still going to be in that same position. And so Dr. Walker's going to talk for just a minute, because we really feel like it started at the top with our leadership.
When I started thinking about as a leader, because I had to reflect back on me, I came up with some things that I wanted to set for myself and for my staff. So I established some goals. And then when Dr. Himes came on board, we talked together about these particular goals, and then the accountability that the staff would have to adhere to in order for us to have the positive outcome. And so they're going to pass these out. We'll just put a couple at each table. I'm not going to hit on all of these, because once these arrive at your table, you can read and pick out some bullet points that may apply to you. But in order for this to work and for me to have a collaborative dialogue with Dr. Hines, and as the leader of Dupree, I talked about the fact that we needed to become more aware of the culture in our school and not just look at children, but look at us. And we talked about recognizing administrator biases as it relates to race, gender, and socioeconomic level. And this is one of the areas in which teachers and administrators struggle in, at least, and I can speak for myself and some of the teachers on my staff, because immediately when you use the word bias, people have a tendency to just associate that with race and say you're calling me a racist. And that's not what it's about. It's about getting down to cultural awareness in order to meet the needs of the students. One of the things I want to say about Dr. Hines, because I had expectations of Dr. Hines. These were my expectations, and Dr. Hines and I both worked together, and we were able to collaborate. And he understood my expectations, I understood his expectations. I will read this. I needed Dr. Hines to be approachable. I needed him to listen. I needed for us to have a trust, not only with me, but with my staff. I needed him to be available. I wanted him to offer us suggestions and ideas, strategies, approaches. I wanted him to give us feedback, positive and negative. I also wanted him to give me those next steps. I wanted him to be non-threatening, and I needed him to help me create an environment within the school with my staff that was non-threatening, because that was the only way that I knew that my staff would open up. I needed him to tailor fit his PD to the needs of Dupree School. I didn't need anything that was going to look like Chanel or Hormel, feeder pattern, anything. I needed him to tailor fit it to Dupree School and my parents and my staff. And he did exactly that. Also, he helped us look at the data, he made those adjustments, and he provided us continuous follow-up. So he did whole group, small group, and individual groups. I had teachers calling him on his cell phone just to get strategies or approach to help them with students. So that's the kind of relationship that you need with Dr. Hines, or even within your leadership team, all those same qualities within your leadership team, because I know not every single school will have Dr. Hines on their campus, but he can work through the workshops to help you build that kind of culture in your school. One of the other things that I found that was very successful is that once I established these goals or expectations with Dr. Hines, then I was able to share those with my staff. And I required all of my staff to attend all of the professional development training by Dr. Hines. You can't just pop in and out and be half there. You have to be 100% in. Then you have to hold your staff accountable for the implementation. And then in order for you to hold them accountable, then you're going to have to be intimately engaged in what they're doing. And that's in the classroom, watching what they're doing in the cafeteria, everywhere in your building. Then we did frequent pulse checks with our staff, with Dr. Hines, and then we had our dialogue and our PLCs, and then tests came along. And Dr. Hines and I had a lot of conversations about tests in Domain 2 and how his work aligns so closely with Domain 2. So we started infusing that as well. So I said all of that to say that as the administrators in the building and now teacher leaders, you've got to step out front and you've got to lead. And it's not going to always be easy. You've got to, some of your staff members, you've got to really kind of pull them in. You're not going to always agree, but you've got to keep the focus on children. Dr. Hines told me once when there were some things that were going on at Dupree School in the midst of all of his work, and he said to me, Dr. Walker, no matter what you do, keep the focus on children. He said, if you focus on children and keep them at the forefront, then everything will work out, because it's not about the teachers. We're there for teachers, we're there to support, but the end result is what's best for children. So that kept me grounded. So hopefully you can take this, kind of look at this sheet and see some of the things that you may want to consider as you implement what Dr. Hines is doing.
The other piece, she mentioned herself as a leader, she mentioned the leadership team, but also having change agents. And some of those change agents are obviously on your leadership team. Some of those are going to be the teacher leaders that are in here.